too.
Okay.
And then you guys
cool.
let me know when you want me to start the recording going.
Yeah, I'm so gonna open up the agenda.
I can also share my screen of the agenda if you guys would prefer that. It's up to you.
Sure.
I have mine up, but if anybody else wants to see it, go ahead.
So, Mark, is that the Tom Forst art still sitting on the floor, not hung on the wall?
Well, he's supposed to pick it. He's supposed to pick it up. Actually, I just took it down.
Oh yeah,
he was supposed to pick it up. No, but no, he's supposed to pick it up.
All right.
If he ever's coming back here, I've been the only one sitting here in this facility for like 2 months.
Hi guys, Janet here.
Hey, Janet.
Hi there. I'm having a problem with getting my video to come on. It's muting my video for some reason.
Let me check it out.
I had that earlier today, and I restarted my computer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, and I'm not quite sure how to.
Well, should be. Are you on your phone or are you on your laptop?
Oh, hi, Michelle.
I'm on my laptop.
There should be in the bottom left corner, there's like a little line through a little camcorder looking icon. If you
right,
that, you should be able to see your video.
Right. So then I go start video, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I get cannot start video, fail to start the video. Please select another video camera.
Interesting.
Your computer is blocking your use of your video camera, so you might have to restart.
But we don't really need you to have video of your face.
Yeah, we don't need video.
Oh, but I wanted you guys to see me.
I want to see.
We want to see you.
Don't want to
Absolutely.
I want my video to work.
And Kadim's video just left.
Does your video typically work, Janet? Or is just on this call it doesn't work?
I'm sorry, I have to take a quick call.
Okay.
Oh boy. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Cinco de Mayo, man.
Yeah, for sure.
It is Cinco de Mayo.
I got margaritas in my
4
mind.
o'clock happy hour, Cinco de Mayo. Let's do an NAC call.
Yeah.
It's the first Tuesday.
I know, Bob. You got parties to go to. I know.
I got parties to go to, man.
So did you guys have a chance to review the agenda at all, or with the Did you guys have a chance to review the minutes that Sabrina sent?
I mean, I looked through them briefly. I didn't spend a lot of time.
Okay.
I didn't see any issues with them.
Okay, so let's just call the meeting to order. Who's that? Was that John? Somebody else? Okay, well, since it's being recorded, either way for the record, let's start with take a roll call. It's Mark Allen, Chairman.
Peter Smith, Vice Chairman.
Melissa Matuska, voting member.
Emerson Strinidi, voting member.
Janet Evelyn, voting member.
Who's Bob Abriola, voting member?
Okay, excellent. We have Sabrina here, of course.
I was supposed to say something? I don't know.
Yeah, Kate.
I'm not sure if I'm a voting member yet, but Brian Casper's here.
Yeah, you are. Did you get sworn in?
No.
Oh, okay.
You did, Brian. You did somewhat.
Yeah, kind of.
I read you at the meeting, too. I read your whole I did a whole spill on you.
Oh, wow. I feel honored.
Sounds like you're a voting member.
Okay, Brian Casper, voting member here.
Michelle Rakowski, social media.
And then I think we're all set. The only attendee here is the Telesco minutes people are also here. Just an FYI.
Cool.
Mark, I think you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Mark.
All right. Very cool. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for the roll call. Do we have anybody here, Sabrina, that's interested, that's monitoring, that's for public participation?
We do not.
Fine.
Here.
Okay, did everybody here have a chance to review the minutes of the March 3rd, 2020 meeting?
I did not. I'm looking through them now.
Okay. Everybody else could just review them. Everybody else has received them, yes?
They were on the email that Sabrina sent out.
Right.
I saw them and reviewed them.
Was I not there?
You might not have been, Melissa.
Oh, I see. It was a Zoom meeting. It says Peter Smith. That was probably Michelle and not Peter Smith.
I'm sorry?
I see on the attendance for the sheet in the minutes, it says Peter Smith. When I'm looking at Michelle on the screen, Michelle is listed as Peter Smith. Is that Smith or Smythe?
Yeah.
Smith.
I think it's because I used the link that Peter forwarded to me.
I see. Yeah,
It
I
needs
see.
to be amended in the minute.
Yeah.
Right, that's correct.
Yeah, because she wasn't included in the invite, so I just forwarded my invite to her.
Okay.
And you guys still, you can see me though, right?
Oh, you're all set.
Okay, great.
Oh, okay. I see. See, Peter, I apologize. So that's me understanding what's going on with Zoom right now. All right.
It's
so
magic. It's magic.
It is magic. So I think we're all good. I don't know. I wasn't here, so I can't really approve or disapprove of anything.
I mean, it just seems like a million years ago and 1,000 miles away, you know, to be honest with you. So I think we could just approve it and move on, is be my suggestion.
Somebody has to make the motion.
Do we have enough people to vote?
I agree with Peter. It was such a long time ago, and you know there were just so many things. I would say to approve it.
I'm sure it's accurate for what we discussed.
I mean, I read it.
It's fairly accurate.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, a lot of the things that we agreed on are now sort of off the table. Things like, you know, everything is being recalibrated, like all the events that we had voted on doing and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. So I make a motion that the minutes be accepted.
I'll second.
That was Janet who seconded, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So everyone?
Anyone opposed? And anyone abstain? Okay, the ayes carry. The minutes are accepted for March 3rd. Okay, so Nori is not here at this moment, right?
No, but I can give the update if you would like.
Yeah, if you could update us as far as like, as far as budgeting, what's being carried over and so on, that'd be great.
I can combine the two items. So for the finance piece and update, I don't have the exact numbers on hand, but we've been processed Michelle's latest invoice and past invoices and other invoices that have been requested. So those should be hands of guys in probably, 2-3 weeks given what's going on. We have limited staff at City Hall. So they're just a little bit delayed processing. So that's kind of that's where we've been spending money. For the FY21, so next year's budget, all of the money that is unspent in this year's budget will by right transfer into next year's budget, because finance understands that we can't spend money as we would have normally right now. So we're going to have a pretty hefty budget when it comes to next year's budget. Our operating budget as presented, which was the increased budget of this past year, so the 20-something thousand, was approved and will move to planning committee. The same thing with the capital requests for the MLK art and other art programs. That was 50,000 that has moved forward to the planning committee as well. That meeting is on Thursday. If they approve in planning committee with no edits or changes, that will move to the common council for approval at the following meeting, which is the following Tuesday. So that's kind of the update on that. So we'll have a pretty substantial budget next year, both operating and capital. So I suggest that we hold a meeting at some point that actually allocates some programming to that money, just because it's a lot more than we normally would have had, especially with the rollover included on top of a past rollover. So
Right.
That's the update on that. If Mark, you have anything to add, or if anybody has anything to add, that's really the update on that.
No, the only thing is, as far as things that we had previously voted on, spending money on, what would you say, Sabrina, is our, recourse now? Do we have to, propose to reallocate that money to our budget for things that we're not able to do now?
No, so the money that is in your operating budget currently, which is the only budget you have, is already split up into categories that was originally requested.
Right.
So split up into for the minutes, for social media and marketing, for advertising, for events, any of those things, it's already split up. You don't have to approve a new budget of any sort, since it's still already split up into those buckets.
Right, they're in their general buckets, right? So we're not committed to what we voted on doing. Anyway.
Nope, it's just committed to category, and those are subject to change. So if you had, say you had $2,500 in events and we can't do any events next year still, you can reallocate that without having to go through a formal process. It's just a more administrative thing. If you wanted to put more towards social media or towards another category, if that were to have to move, that's not as big of a deal. It's more if you're moving like $20,000, that's when you have to go through a more formal approval.
What's the total? What's the total budget for the year that we're going to have to spend? Starting now until the end of the next fiscal year.
So I didn't pull the exact reports, but you probably have around 15,000 left in this budgetary year. That will roll over into next year's 20-something thousand. So you're probably looking at around 35,000 plus the 50,000 in the capital expense.
And but that has to be used for the Martin Luther King corridor, correct?
Doesn't have to be. It has to be used for that corridor, but not for one specific project. It could be used for, multiple different programs in that specific geography. So you could do a mural program, you can do a sculpture thing, you can do signage, you can do a plethora of things. It just has to be used in a certain geography.
And does that have to be used in the next fiscal year as well?
In FY21, yes.
Okay, got it.
So we can start to see creative proposals for that, internally and externally.
Right.
Yep, you can start the process of kind of an RFP on that front as soon as the council approves it, which will hopefully be not this coming. Yep. Nope. Next Tuesday. So this time next week.
What's the geographic limitation? What's the area that we're talking about? Just anything on Martin Luther King Drive?
No, I can send that geography to you if you'd like, but it's Main Avenue. So right, kind of like the police station to Monroe. So Main to Monroe, MLK on the other side. It goes down almost all the way to like Wilson Point in that area, but not so far, and all the way to the water. So you're talking Day Street, near and around the police station, around the train station, any of those areas.
Okay, got it.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, great. Let's move on to the Communications Committee update. Peter, do you want to speak to us about this?
Well, Michelle, I just want to give a big shout out to Michelle. She's been doing a fabulous job, largely on her own, doing the social media. I think she's been terrific. She's really been staying on top of it, coming up with a lot of different interesting pieces of content, really hitting the sculpture park hard that Jason Milligan has created. So I've really been enjoying her work there. And other than that, you know, I'd love to actually get her thoughts on, you know, what it's been like for her to find stuff and to do it, and, you know, what her feelings have been. But, you know, I'm sorry, I'm just starting from a flat foot. I really haven't been doing anything with the Arts Council the past month. I've just been dealing with a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to get back on it now. But Michelle, why don't you give us, you know, your thoughts on what it's been like, you know, talk to us a little bit about how you've been finding stuff, and have you been getting feedback, etc.
Sure, thank you. Thanks for the compliment, and Melissa, your baby's so cute. I definitely appreciate, just like before, anyone forwarding me anything interesting to post about. Of course, there's not as much out there, but I've kind of tried to create a little schedule for myself where I'm posting about a mural a week and another artwork in Norwalk, and trying to include 1 or 2 posts about either a virtual event or an activity people can do from home. Part of it, like some things I'm just pulling from the art world in general. But people, especially, you know, definitely the posts about the new murals in the art park, people are enjoying and responding to. I'm also trying to share content from the artists in our community creating, like Jim's meditations, and sharing on the story, what people are working on.
Have you, I don't know if this has been part of your plan. We're seeing, you know, like the resources that are available for people in the arts community who are needing assistance. Have you been doing any posts about those?
Yes, I shared the Connecticut Grant that's available for artists. The deadline was yesterday, but last week I shared about that.
I think you're doing a great job. Peter, do you think that given the extra funding that we have, that we can sort of step up our boosting of posts and things like that to
Absolutely.
feel like
Absolutely.
the art community is essentially a virtual social media community at this point?
Yeah, I mean, we can go in and just start boosting every single one of, you know, Michelle's posts, you know, for $50 or $100 and reach most of the city very easily. So I think it would be a great time for us to be able to build up some followers, build up some more awareness about what we're doing. So we can talk about doing that now if you would like, because we certainly apparently have the cash.
Yeah. I think for us as the Arts Commission, I think that our social media, it's really, in terms of community service, that's our ability at this point to reach people.
Right.
And to provide our artists resources and just keep the community, you know, our arts communities, you know, together as much as we can. I sort of feel like that's, you know, what we have to work with.
So Michelle, how many posts are you doing a week on average?
4 to 5.
4 to 5 posts a week. Okay. So we could boost, let's say, 2 posts a week for $50 or $100. So that would be $100 a week. So $400 a month, or we could do $800 a month. I mean, we could just start with the $400 a month if you like. And that'll boost 8 posts, and it'll get us to about 20,000 Norwalk residents.
Are you going to boost the post specific to location? Because I know you can also do by subject matter and stuff. I just wonder.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
What we do is we pretty much do Norwalk zip codes.
Yeah.
And then we add in a few interest groups. We don't, delineate between men and women, but we do. I think we do like age 14 to. Oh, look at that baby.
I'm sorry.
We do whatever. I think it's the lowest you can go is 18. We do 18 to 65.
Yeah.
I have a question. Are we tracking, like when we do post or pay for posts, what kind of analytics we're getting back from that? Like how many people have signed up or the traffic or anything, just to see kind of return on investment there?
We've only boosted 2 posts. We boosted one for Five Fingers for an art opening he had at Mad Lab or Mad Creative, and then we boosted one for the Norwalk Musical Theater. But once we start doing it, we'll definitely give you an analytics. Hootsuite, the service that we use to aggregate all the posts, it has a lot of analytics that we can present that as a monthly spend, and show you exactly what we're getting as far as engagement.
Thanks. I was just curious.
Yeah. So what we do, just so everybody knows, is you boost it through Facebook. You give it a budget, and then Facebook controls Instagram as well. So those will be the 2 primary areas where we're spending. Probably would not spend on Twitter. But and then it kind of goes, the magic of the Facebook algorithms, they know more about us than we know about ourselves. It puts it in all the right places for it to get engagement. And they'll give us a report on where it's showing up and who's responding. So we'll be able to see, what's the age group? Is it men or women? What's the geography? Where are they located? I don't know if they can go down past zip code. But so that'll be kind of the general information we'll be able to present on a monthly basis.
Mm-hmm.
Which one of you is ignoring direct messages?
Can you repeat that?
I had sent a message because you shared a mural that was shared by another artist that was actually mine, and was sharing it as if it was theirs. And I just wonder if you guys are checking those direct messages. I find that on my personal Instagram, it's a good way to connect to people, and it's a good way for people to feel that they actually are being heard. And I know maybe it feels a little monotonous and redundant, but
I think Michelle's been responding, right, for the most part?
Yeah. I was just going to get my phone to look at. I do respond and check them.
So we just missed it.
I saw, I did see your message. I think it was about something I shared in a story. And by the time I checked it, the story wasn't available anymore.
Oh.
I wasn't trying to imply that was their mural. I was just sharing someone else's post.
Oh, okay.
So, Michelle, have you been doing anything unique on Instagram as that's not or different than Facebook, or is it similar content?
I do. Right? I keep them consistent.
Okay.
Right. So you run the stories on Facebook and on Instagram as well.
Yes. I set the settings for our Instagram account so that whenever I share a story on Instagram, it also connects to Facebook, which is really nice. But I'm doing it through Instagram. I'm on the Instagram app, and that's where I find the posts to share on the story, and then it connects to Facebook.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right, so that's it for communications. I mean, I think we'll have a lot to talk about in new business as far as, the events and Art Speak and all that other stuff. But I think as far as our current initiatives, that's where we're at.
Okay, very good. On the infrastructure side, the public art policy in its current condition is now in the hands of the legal department, and they are still reviewing it. Obviously, they're as affected by this all this crisis as we are, so going a bit slow, but we hope to have it back from them for the June meeting. So there's no updates on that at all from our last meeting. Sabrina, was there anything else on that?
Yeah, so it's just what you said. So a little bit of background on that. So the legal department got a new lawyer who is now looking at the arts policy, hence the delay. So he's kind of starting from scratch. So I've been meeting with him virtually for, the past 2-3 weeks since we sent over the edited version. So Matt Sapienza is the new lawyer in the legal department, and he's been looking at a lot of precedents and things like that. So he's been reviewing the policy kind of from scratch, which is why it's a little bit more delayed. But hopefully at the next meeting, we'll have something to look at that has, his edits and suggestions. But from what he has told me so far, the conversations that we've had about content and First Amendment rights and things like that, that we've integrated into the document to protect ourselves is going on the right path. So I don't see there being any major overhauls in that. So that's good. And the only bylaws update I wanted to bring up was the infrastructure committee worked on the public art policy and included some changes to the committees. That committee piece has moved back to the bylaws because that's where they have existed traditionally. So that was just the only update to that, and kind of some other outdated random things related to social media and things like that. So that's the bylaws update is not going to be as major of an overhaul as the public art policy is. And I don't see legal being such a stickler on the bylaws piece, but they're taking a deep dive into the public art policy, but they should have something to us by, the next meeting that we can, hopefully a week before the next meeting, so everybody can review it and make sure they're comfortable before we actually bring it to the group for approval.
I know we will be voting on the new bylaws as well.
Yeah, so the plan is to bring both documents together for approval so that we're only going to have to go to Common Council one time with both documents instead of having to go simultaneously. I mean, granted, that might change, like if we have any major changes to the document, and that's totally fine, but I would rather bring both at once and hopefully not a lot of changes and be able to bring both at once again to the Common Council.
So if we're going to get this back from law department, hopefully for June, you think the soonest we'll go to Common Council is July? At this point?
No, the way the Common Council schedule is set up, we meet before them. So in the June meeting, if we approve it to go to Common Council, we can go to Common Council the second week in June.
Okay. Okay, good to know. Okay. The only other thing I have for the infrastructure committee is, Peter, we were talking about our plan to have our public art collection photographed. To create a new collection. Judith McCall has expressed an interest in being our photographer for that project. So
awesome.
We should consider now how much we want to allocate towards that project, the scope of it, and what our expectations would be in terms of deliverables from her and so forth. So probably beyond the scope of today's meeting to figure that out. We could sort of figure that out in infrastructure committee, but.
Mark, I just want to flag for you the procurement standards of the city. So if it's under 1,000, we can just go with her and it's fine. But if it's above that, we're going to have to get more than one quote. And if it's over, it's not going to be over $10,000. But if it is, you have to formally bid the process. So just to flag that for you.
Okay, fair enough. So is there a dollar amount between over 1,000 but under 10,000 for any sort of middle ground?
1 to 5, you need 2 quotes. 5 to 10, you need 3 quotes.
Okay, because I'm open to getting other quotes. So would this be like I would have to get a quote from her for this project, or would we just sort of set an amount like we did similar to Michelle?
Before we get a quote, though, should we set standards as far as what we're looking for exactly? So,
Yes.
for instance, I know that Westport and someone else uses an online inventory database organization. And if we decide how we would like this on the web, or what other, tools we would want, then we'll know what kind of standards we're looking for as far as, is there a minimum pixel, or what size do we need for uploading to the web, or, so that way we can then present that to the person for bid.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think that I'm saying that's what we really need to figure out, what those deliverables and expectations.
Right. So I would say that we need to figure out first, and maybe the communication group, I'd be happy to meet with you and share with you when I had attended a conference, some of the organizations that other arts commissions are doing. But I really feel like we need to decide which platform we'd want to use before we go forward with that, not to delay it anymore, but.
I kind of feel like this would stay in infrastructure. Happy to give input, but I would think this is, even if it goes on the website, it would be infrastructure.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion. I don't know what everyone else thinks. But the other thing I wanted to say was that we need to...
Different Mark, sorry.
There's institutional knowledge, I've only been on this, on the commission for 6 months or whatever, but there's a lot of pieces that we don't know where they all are. Isn't that one of the issues with this?
That is one of the issues. We really need to take our public art collection inventory, which I believe, Melissa, did you work on that, or was that?
I did, actually. So I don't understand what pieces are really lost. When I was going through, I was just marking, what pieces were there, what pieces were not in the spot that they were anymore. So some of that's going to be historical information that, I guess we'd have to track down, but it's not, I'm not aware of many pieces like that. Most of the pieces that are in the inventory, like when I would go through there, I'd be like, yes, this is here. The only pieces that were missing out of that inventory were a couple pieces on loan, and that were not actually part of our inventory. That happened to make it in that. And I'm referencing the pieces over at Lockwood Mansion. But most everything was there.
So I think we should just, we need to have an infrastructure meeting, and we do need to review the collection.
And I've got the database of the collection.
Right.
The only problem is when I went to go upload it to do like a site so we could put it up online, there is a cost associated with it. So the one Westport was using is not actually free anymore. So I guess maybe when they started it was free, but now if you're going to start it, and do like the database, the same database company that they were using, it's just a tool that actually says, you can look at stuff from, search by artist, search by date, keywords, all those sorts of things. And so we would have to either pay for that service if we wanted to do that.
Okay, well, that's certainly an option. So a database system in itself, and then we would probably need to hire the admin help, unless Sabrina can do it.
Yeah, Sabrina can do it. Yay.
I would suggest that the infrastructure committee work with the budget committee to come up with not only a scope of work, but an agreeable expense.
Right.
Yeah.
Number one, like a photographer, maybe somebody who's different than somebody who's actually managing the database, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
But put that in the scope of work, that's something that you want, and maybe the photographer knows somebody that could potentially partner with them to do that sort of thing, or maybe the photographer has the capability to do both and include the need for paying for the database expense and other things like that, so that you're coming up with a holistic scope of work and a holistic budget for the project. And then that way you can use, you can get a realistic number from whoever you ask, number one, but number two, it encapsulates the entire project, that we're not here, trying to piece together things, and you guys aren't having to work as volunteers more than you'd have to when we have the budget to pay somebody to do it.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yep. That's very helpful. Good. Okay, so I think that's a good goal that we can figure out these things between now and June. Okay. Okay, very cool. That's all I really have for infrastructure.
I had two things I wanted to bring up for kind of new news, but what's the status on the NICE Festival and on Norwalk Arts Festival and Norwalk, South Norwalk Arts Festival, etc.? Anybody know? Everything canceled?
Is Janet still here?
Janet can probably speak more to this, but from a city standpoint, all city-sponsored events are being canceled pretty much throughout the summer, the larger events, but recreational sports and things like that are not. So it's just controlled on the group amount, but Janet will know more than I do probably on the larger event standpoint, but from city-sponsored that are not privately sponsored events, we are not holding them through the summer.
And is there any sort of date time frame on that at this point? Or is it open-ended?
We haven't spoken about dates mainly because we're hesitant to say, you know, this certain date is when we'll be able to gather again. Just we don't want to have to keep pushing it. So they've canceled, I think, like half of the summer night concerts at this point. But that's not to say that the rest won't get canceled or the rest will get canceled. I have no idea.
So we don't know anything about like Oyster Festival or Sono Arts Fest?
The Oyster Festival, the city on our side approved them to hold the festival, but we haven't heard anything from them on the cancellation piece of it yet.
Okay.
That's going to be more in lieu of a state decision if those larger festivals can be held, number one. But number two, it's a financial thing for them if it makes sense for them to hold it at this point. I don't know if people would come. It's kind of very risky, so I don't know as a fact if there are or are not, but we haven't heard anything on our end.
And nothing, we haven't heard anything on Sono Arts Fest either?
No, I haven't heard anything about that. But we're planning at the city level to do smaller scale events like jazz nights and like farmers markets and things like that, but we're also holding out till very late summer at this point because we don't want to jump the gun too early.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So Make Music Day worldwide is still going forward. Make Music Day Norwalk is going to, primarily it's going to be streamed events. So the only thing from myself as Make Music Day goes, we're still going to be looking for artists who want to stream their live events. And so then it becomes more or less a social media promotion. So then Michelle, if the Arts Commission and by you through the Arts Commission can support that, that'll be really great. It'll probably end up being that people are just streaming their own events under the banner of Make Music Day with it. We're going to figure out what the right hashtag is for Make Music Day Norwalk. And then
what day is that?
June 21st.
Okay, great.
I'm eager to see how things shape up. But, if somebody goes and plays on, in front of their business, I don't know what the legal, situation is with that. So we'll be looking at that. But it's sort of TBD at this point.
Yeah, the city is looking into kind of more lenient, if you may, outdoor performance and outdoor eating and all of those different types of things due to coronavirus. So if anything good comes out of this, it might be that. So I'll keep you guys in the loop when it comes to kind of performing and art and things like that in the public realm. We're looking at potentially closing more streets now on like a reoccurring basis just because less people are driving.
Yeah.
And using it kind of for artistic purposes or entertainment purposes. So I'll let you know.
That would be great. So, before we had, this had transpired back in December, I had a meeting with the park, the mobility and the bike and mobility sort of commission. Do you know those guys?
Yeah, the Bike Walk Commission or the Transportation, Parking, and Mobility people?
I guess it was Bike Walk, and they were really all about wanting to close streets for that type of event. That was like their.
If the Bike Walk Commission can close every street in Norwalk, they definitely would.
Yeah.
They are very pedestrian-oriented people, which I am in full support of as well.
Yeah,
we're going towards that, but you have to obviously be a city engineer to understand that you have to like take into account one-ways and emergencies and people parking at their homes and things like that. But we're looking at it, so that's
you don't want to mess with them.
No.
You definitely do not want to.
Yeah, I think that it's a challenge zone when we're in this in-between phase where we can have these small outside events, but encouraging social distancing at the same time. And really hard to police that, but I think that for us as the city, it puts us in a interesting spot because puts us in a position of being responsible for that stuff. In as much as we endorse certain events, like if we were to endorsing Make Music Day, if you have somebody doing a small outside event, you really can't police that stuff. So it's challenging. That's all I really have for the infrastructure. Does anybody else have any old business that we need to discuss? Anyone else?
Yeah. For the NICE Festival, at the moment it's on hold. It's all determinant on what the state/city decides with regards to outdoor events. We have not canceled. We have not said that we're canceling the date of July 11th. And it's good to hear that the city's considering, being a little bit more lenient on outdoor programs, because it is an outdoor program. And, I think if we're able to do it on any type of scale, I think it would be a welcoming event to bring the city, to kind of get together outside of this pandemic. So depending on what those decisions or determinations are, will give us, directions on how we're going to proceed with whether or not we can salvage any aspect of the NICE Festival for the rest of the summer.
What's your point of no return when you guys have to decide or be informed you can do it?
Well, I think, it's something that we can turn around, in a fairly short order, if we were to do it on a smaller scale. So, if I think we would need probably, I would say 3 to 4 weeks to turn something around.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that we should still try to do our booth then, because if it does happen, it's going to be mobbed. There's so much pent up, desire for people to get out of the house. I think if the city says it's okay to have that festival, it's going to be completely mobbed.
Right. So it is a city call. It's not our call at all. The city will have to give us the go ahead to do it. We may have to push the dates back, later in July. But again, based on even what Sabrina has just said with regards to, whether or not we'll be able to do more outdoor events, the city will determine that. And I absolutely agree with you, Peter. I think that our community will welcome an event such as that to just be out and to celebrate, wellness and coming together. So we are, that's my next phase now, is to work on putting, while we've just been on hold with regards to trying to drive funding, I'm hoping that we will get we're going to need additional support and funding to turn it around quickly. And I'm hoping that the city will be behind us in doing that, when the time comes. but one of the aspects of it that I'm going to be working on over the next few weeks is to really line up a backdrop or a contingency, a performance schedule that we could leverage, you know, when the time comes.
So I think by the next meeting, we should have more of a firmer answer. And at that point, we've already got it budgeted. So then maybe we do try to do it.
Yeah, and you know, we're going to need, you know, and of course, you know, we're going to need, you know, the help of everyone and everyone's support to make it a citywide revival, if you will, of community. And so definitely we'll need, you know, all of the players, the Rexon Park, who is of course our lead sponsor on it, the Arts Commission, and all of the various groups to make it happen.
Janet, if you if July doesn't happen, could you see doing this as like an early fall event? Fallback, if you no pun intended.
Say early fall event. I mean, that depends on you know, I mean, if we were to do an early fall, I mean, I think that the Oyster Festival you know, absolutely will be a play with regards to when and how we might do that. Clearly, with outdoor events, and you know, the later in September, the more risk you encounter, you know, whether it's weather-wise. So, I mean, ideally, it'd be nice if we're able to salvage any summer at all out of this. You know, maybe something mid to late August would be a good time.
Right.
Especially now that school is, you know, is closed for the rest of the year. By that time, you know, hopefully, we will really have been able to put we'll be able to do a much better job at mitigating this disease, you know, and come up with better ways of managing the spread. And so maybe by that time, people will also be more comfortable in socializing as well. So
this past weekend, there were like, I could see even in my little area, local neighborhood, there were like small little pockets of people gathering and maintaining social distance from the other groups. Like people weren't just like, even though like the neighbors across the street were like meeting with their sort of family and their little circle, I wasn't necessarily going up to them. I feel like we're entering into this small group sort of phase where we're going to have pockets of people, and maybe it's going to take some time before we end up getting to these larger groups where people feel comfortable in these larger groups. We'll just see. We're going from single person occupancy to small silo groups, you know, pockets.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that Peter said it right. I think that people are going to love to want to, you know, be at outdoor events, and they're going to want to, you know, come out and celebrate. They're going to want to, you know, enjoy the arts, you know, the performing arts on all different levels. And that anything that we can do as a commission to shore up and to kind of help to promote those types of come-togetherness programs, I think, you know, that would be a good thing for us to do. I think people are going to really want that.
Yeah, you know, I totally agree. Sabrina, how are we on time?
We have 8 minutes left.
Okay, so as a matter of new business, if you guys are comfortable, ready to move on to new business, I just want to let everybody know that the art park over here, I think there are probably still, as far as I know, probably 6 to 8 places where there could be Is everybody here familiar with what's happening over here on Isaac Street with the art park? Is everybody familiar with that? I know Peter is.
I am.
Go over it.
Yeah, yes, I am.
So basically, the owner of the lot, he's basically he's not paying the artist, but he is paying for the supplies. So it's essentially artists that want to have their work featured. He's doing it two ways, where he's either giving you the wood for you to do the work in your own studio, or you can do it on site. And Bob Abriola is doing one, and I'm doing one, and there's different people. So if anybody here within the Arts Commission and through the public is interested in doing one of these sort of freestanding murals, you can reach out to me directly, and I will. That's the only thing I have for new business. I did think, Peter, when we were talking, you know, when you guys came up with that logo for the Art Speak,
Yep.
I started thinking maybe we could come up with some sort of fun logo that sort of speaks to Janet, it sort of hit me when she said come togetherness. Something to do with the arts community, something that we can use as sort of a rally cry for, you know, our Norwalk arts community. Maybe that could be the giveaway for our booths, but maybe that would be a t-shirt or something that we can do to sort of bring people together. So maybe graphically, maybe you and Bob and whoever could sort of conceptualize that. That might be cool.
Yeah, I've been playing around with this. People can see that. I Heart Art.
Oh, I love it.
So it can be a bumper sticker, or it can be like a magnet, kitchen magnet.
Yeah.
So that was what I was kind of trying to work on for the giveaway for Nice Festival, for folks to put something on their car. But I think what you're talking about is really interesting as well. I mean, I could almost see reproducing that logo, which I love, the ArtSpeak logo, for anyone who hasn't seen it.
It's really good.
You know, it's really quite interesting. Okay, that's cool. How many spots did you say are open? 6?
Approximately. I don't know how many are spoken for, but I know that there's definitely a few open. And if anybody, you know, is interested, you know.
Is that going to be temporary or permanent?
They're as far as I know, it's permanent. There's also a new mural that I mean, I give him credit for this. I mean, he had in that old, used to be the El Dorado bar.
Yeah.
It's basically an abandoned property at this point.
Right.
I mean, it's not abandoned. It's the owner, but he went to the owner and was able to sign a legal document with the owner taking liability for him to hire a painter to paint the outside of that building and make it attractive. And it's an art piece that says, safe, home, strong.
Yeah, I think Michelle actually put that on the feed, didn't you, Michelle?
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. So the woman who is painting that, she got some people from the community to help, and she's her name is Carol. She's a art teacher in New Canaan. Really, really good, passionate arts community person. So it's definitely some cool stuff happening. And Weberson. Oh, one last thing to tell you before we sign off. Jam Studios, where we had an Arts Commission meeting at Jam Studio. They are an art and music studio in Liberty Square, sort of near Vets Park. They provide programs for kids in art and music. They lost their lease, and they've been looking for spaces, but it looks like they're going to partner with Mad Lab. And Mad Lab is going to host all of their kid art programs, and Factory Underground is going to host all their music kid programs. So
Awesome.
Jam is going to be moving to the Wall Street area, essentially, and hopefully eventually occupying their own space. So I thought we were going to lose them for a minute. I was not happy about that. So.
Very cool.
Anything else before we move on to adjournment? Anybody else?
I just want to say, I mean, I know we're still working out this mural policy stuff, and there's lots of sort of red tape with that, but I just want to, I think we all probably agree that, you know, moments like this is incredibly important. And I just wanted to sort of offer, if anyone knows of anyone who has, say, a side of a building or something, and they want me to come paint something on it, I will do it totally free of charge, as sort of just like a positive message, whatever you want to say, to the city. So if anyone knows anyone who has something available, reach out. I'd be happy to chat with building owners or whoever. In particular, I was looking at the side of what used to be the Connecticut Design Center.
Yeah.
666 West Avenue.
Yeah.
If anyone knows who owns that, I mean, I don't even care if it eventually gets painted over. I think public art is for the public, and then if it comes down, it comes down. I don't care. But I thought that was, if anyone knows whoever's responsible for that side of that building.
There's a medical center going in there that's almost fully complete.
Oh, well.
Unfortunately.
Because I noticed it was sort of like peely, and anyway, but anything like that, I mean, I'm happy, especially high visibility. And like I said, if it ends up getting painted over in the future, I'm happy to do it. So
is your work posted online?
What?
Is your work posted online anywhere?
Yeah. My Instagram is just bcasper, like my last name, BKASPR. My website's the same thing, bcasper.com. I deal with text, so it'd be something that would say, it's like, together we can do it, or something like that, like whatever, anything. And I'm happy to, like I said, happy to do it for free.
Awesome.
Just need the space to do it.
Brian, what's your Instagram?
BKASPR.
Okay.
There was someone who messaged me on Facebook a couple days ago interested in adding a mural to the Wall Street Theater. I directed them to email you, Mark.
Okay. Yeah,
I'd be happy to chat with those folks too. Whoever, doesn't matter. I'll paint the side of a semi-trailer in a parking lot. Doesn't matter to me. I just think things like that is like, people need to see that like the creative community is involved and we're excited and, you know, we're ready to kind of get back to work like everyone else. So, you know, why not?
Should I direct them to your social media?
Sure.
You guys will laugh. Weverson from Mad Lab was on top of his roof the other day. He's painting the words "Be Creative" on the roof of Mad Lab. And they were talking about various things that he could paint. And in this moment of totally being a space case, I said to him, I'm surprised you didn't paint Mad Lab. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, that would be a sign. Hello? I was like, yeah, of all people to say that was me. So anyway.
It's 5, guys. Sorry, but we need to kind of booty.
Okay. Anybody motion for adjournment?
I'll motion. That's a Melissa.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstains?
Nope.
Any negatives?
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye, everybody.